Bueno, guys, over here. So today we're going to be working, as I told you, into different topics. Already, I was not recording this session, so I started now. And I would like to start the class showing you a picture and asking you to please think what could be the possible favor that this person is asking the other. The man is saying, could you do me a favor? Could you please da 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 da? What do you think the man is requesting from the other guy?
Asking for something?
Yeah, what is that something? What do you think something that is he asking for?
Problems in work?
Like for example, like do you have like a specific example in mind? The man is saying, hey, could you do me a favor? Could you please what?
Could you please arrive early at meeting? I don't know.
Good, very good. Arrive earlier to the meeting, right? Important, good. Thank you, Daddy. Good, excellent. What other possible request? Any other? No, nothing.
Could you please do the work faster?
Typical from a boss, no? That's it. Yes. Could you please do your job or do your work faster? Good, excellent. Okay, good. Any final one?
Could you please stay late for work?
Yeah, the face of the man, it's like something like that, no? So, like, could you please stay later for work? Muy bien, perfect. So, in this case, what you're seeing is that the man is asking a favor. Yeah, of course, the other person is not pretty happy about it, but anyway, the man is doing like asking a request. Yes, as a request, as Santiago said, is asking for something from the other person, right? In this case, the man is asking like politely, like, could you do me a favor, right? But we're going to see that we have other different kinds of ways to ask for favors, no? When we are asking for favors, we have to take into account the formality of the favor. Yeah, so in this case, it's like a formal context, which is like, in the office, but this man is the boss and this one is the employee. What is the meaning of employee?
Empleado.
Empleado, right? So this one is the high hierarchy and this one has a little bit like a lower hierarchy. So this guy is not polite at all. He's like, hey, could you please, like using a modal verb. Let's see what are the kind of expressions that we can ask or that we can use when we're asking for a favor, right? So better way here. When we're asking for a favors, we're going to check that we have different ways to do it. Ready? Depending if it's a formal request, informal request, if it is something realistic or if it is something hypothetical, right? The first two ways or the first two expressions that we have are with modal verbs. And the first one is, could you lend me your could you, which is the most common one, no? Like asking for a favor. Could you give me this? Could you lend me that? Could you like help me with this? Whatever, yes. And then we have another one, which is kind, which can be with you, can you, or can I? What is the difference between asking could you and can I? Why could I use I? If it's a favor from the other person, why I may use I? Any ideas?
Can es poder y could is podría.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Yeah. But why in one case I'm asking you and in the other case I'm asking I? That is what is troubling me.
Maybe it's for the noun.
The noun is different, but why do you think that it's different? That is my question. Why it's different the pronoun? In one case I, in the other one you?
Could be permission?
The opposite, Santi. Can is for permission. So in this case, we're going to have some of them are going to be favors. Thank you so much, Santi. And the other ones are going to be permissions. Both are request. Permissions. But in one case, when I'm asking a favor, I am asking, as Sarah said, the other subject, I'm asking the other person to do something for me. Could you help me? Could you give me? Could you lend me? But when I'm asking a permission, I'm asking the request if I can do something. For example, can I go? Can I go to the bathroom? Can I borrow your book? Can I use your bathroom? Can I use your phone? Right? So usually we're going to see that when we have permission, the pronoun is going to be I. While when we talk about favors, it's going to be you because it's the other person who is doing the action, right? So usually when we talk about permissions, we're going to have normally the modal verbs can and may, right? Can and may. While when we talk about favors, we can use could or can also, not so popular, but it could be, or would, no? The modal verb would. So would you do that for me? Would you lend me ta? Would you tell me no sé qué? So in that case, both modals for verbs, for favors, and both modals for permissions. Ready? As you can notice, of course, as it's a question, the modal verb is going to be before the subject. Can I? Can you? It's equal to, in the examples here, could you, right? So the modal verb is going to be before. Easy, no? Those expressions are super easy. Now we're going to have some expressions which I use with permission, right? All of them, or both of them, are going to be with permission, but they are with simple present. So I can say, for example, is it okay if, or do you mind if? Can you tell me what is the meaning of do you mind if, or is it okay if? The same?
¿Te importaría si?
Exactly, no? So te importaría o estaría bien si, and then as it's a permission, it's going to use in both cases I. Is it okay if I use your contact number? Do you mind if I copy your answers? Do you mind if I use your credit card? Oh, well, you know, different permissions that we can have, right? Take into account that these expressions or these options are going to be realistic. It's a real favor. They're going to be realistic, right? While, so in that case, it's with simple present. Is it okay or do you mind? Here we have exactly the same options, but they are going to be hypothetical. Ready? They are going to be hypothetical. So it's a favor that it's not real. No, it's like in any case that this happened, would it be okay or would you mind if? So it's a hypothetical favor, right? In that case, the structure is not with simple present. It's gonna be with modal verb would. Like, would it be all right if? Es exactamente la misma que esta, pero with would, ready? And would you mind if? Which is exactly the same as this one, but with would, right? In this case, as they are hypothetical, we are trying to do like a question with second conditional. The verb is going to be in simple past. Not because the question is in the past, not because the favor was in the past, but because it's an unreal question, right? It's a hypothetical situation. That's why I use the simple past. While in this one, I use the simple present. No. Do you mind if I copy or is it okay if I use? Because it's a realistic request. While this one, it's an imaginary request. It's hypothetical, right? And finally, well, all of these four, right, are going to be permissions, right? All of these are going to be permissions. Now, the last two are going to be very formal expressions, which I am sure that you know. The first one is would you mind, pero sin if, únicamente would you mind. What is the meaning of would you mind?
¿Te importaría?
Exactly. So in that case, when I have would you mind alone, no would you mind if, but just would you mind, the next verb is going to be in the ing. And what I'm asking is a favor very politely to the other person. Would you mind explaining me this exercise? Would you mind giving me a ride? Would you mind calling me afterwards? Would you mind lending me some money? Would you mind staying in silence or being quiet? The action that is going to be requested or asked for, it's going to be in the ing, right? So would you mind? And then the verb in ing. It's a favor, yeah, and it's a very formal one. The same as the last expression, which is I was wondering if. What is the meaning of I was wondering if?
Estaba pensando si.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was asking myself if, and then the rest. Sometimes could be a permission or could be also a favor. I was wondering if you could give me some money. I was wondering if I could take the day off or something like that. Ready? Guys, any question about, I know that there are a lot of expressions, but do you have any questions about any of them?
Teacher, the last sentences is about something in this moment in ing.
These two?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It's just because here we have the verb mind. Yeah. When I have mind, expressions with mind, the next verb is always in the ing. Not because it's happening right now, but because it's a gerund form. This, for example, here I have I wouldn't mind or would you mind explaining ta ta ta, or the same as when I say I don't mind, no say I don't mind working at night or I don't mind listening to music loud. Remember that the last time we talked about the gerunds, hablamos de los gerundios? Yeah, do you remember that, Santi?
So.
The last class we talked about the gerunds, which is a verb in ing, and
Okay.
it's after some different verbs. For example, I don't mind always has a verb in ing. Or when I say I enjoy, if it's an action, it's going to be also in ing. Pero no tiene que ver con que esté pasando justamente ahora, sino que es un gerundio. Entonces, después de algunos verbos como mind o enjoy, siempre va otro verbo en ing. That's why. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Muy bien. Bueno, any other questions? Majo, Sara, any questions about these expressions?
No, teacher.
No.
No.
Okay. Bueno, muy bien. So let's go a little bit back until here. Here, well, you asked me about, or you told me about some of the possible favors that the boss was asking to the employee. Let's try to think what permissions could the employee ask to the boss. No, in that case, you told me like, could you please arrive earlier to the meeting? Could you please do your work faster? Could you please stay late for work? But what could be some permissions that the employee might be asking to the boss?
Could you please let me go early today?
Yeah, good. Could you please let me go earlier today? But what about if it's a permission? What could be a better expression?
Can I?
It could be, hey, can I go earlier today? Can I go earlier today? But take into account that this is the employee asking to the boss. So he needs to be a little bit more formal. This is a good permission. That's a good one. But if I am asking to my boss, I need to be very careful. What expression would you use?
I was wondering if I can go earlier today.
Exactly. I was wondering if I can go earlier today. Why? It's simply because it's my formal situation, no? I mean, the first one was perfect. That's great. Maybe for a, like between two friends, no? Between father and son or something like that. But when it's like a more formal situation, then we have to use the more formal expressions. Do you mind if? Is it okay if? I was wondering if, yes? Or if it's a favor, would you mind? Yeah, that's it. Any other permission from this boy to the boss?
Can I miss today? I'm sick.
Okay, very good. So can I miss work today? Can I miss work today? But once again, Santi, if it's a more formal situation, especially if you are informing that you are not going to work, what could be a better expression?
I was wondering I if I can no.
Yeah,
I was wondering if I miss today.
if I can, because anyway, it's a permission. So I was wondering if I can miss today work because I am sick. No, maybe that's it. ¿Listo? Muy bien.
Teacher,
Yes,
teacher, I have a question.
yes, tell me, of course.
Can I use the would you mind? Maybe would you mind if I miss work today because
Yes.
I'm sick?
In that case, the problem about that expression is that when I say, would you mind if, it's a hypothetical situation. So for example, the employee is asking, in any case, supposing that I got sick, would you mind if I missed work? But it's not a realistic permission. If it's a real permission, I'm gonna say, hey, do you mind if I miss work today because I am sick? If it's a realistic request. If it's a hypothetical case, like the person is saying, supposing that I were sick, would you mind if I miss work, right? So this one is gonna be more hypothetical, yeah? This one, it's more realistic. Okay, Sarita?
Thank you.
Yes, good. Muy bien. Guys, until
Sure.
here, question, Danny?
Yes. In this case, if I use it is okay, will be a formal permission.
Yeah, anyway, is it okay if it could be also formal permission, you know? Not as formal as would as I was wondering if, but anyway, it's accepted, right? Anyway, using can is not rude. Yeah, it's not incorrect. Simply it is too casual, like too friendly. And sometimes the boss don't like the friendly talk. But sorry, some other bosses, they like the friendly talk, so you can use it the can I, no? It's not incorrect. But is it okay if is also perfect for that, ready? So could fit anyway. Okay, Danny, yeah, get it?
Yes.
Bueno, good, excellent, guys. Now, in this case, we were talking about direct request, no? Because it was directly from one person to the other. This one was asking favors, this one was asking permission. It was a direct request, yeah? But there is going to be also other kind of requests, other kind of favors, which are indirect. For example, well, let me just erase this part right here. For example, what happens when I have to transmit a favor from one person to the other? The favor is not going to be direct, it's going to be indirect, no? For example, imagine that I need to talk to, I don't know, Santi, do you have brothers or sisters?
One sister.
One sister. Imagine that for any reason I need to talk to Santiago's sister, but she is not here in class. So I will have to transmit the favor to Santiago so Santiago can repeat it to his sister, right? So that's gonna be an indirect request, a favor that is transmitted from one person, so this person can transmit it to the other person, right? Usually it's going to be information, right? Or sometimes it's going to be favors, right? So in this case, the first part, it's that we have to include, of course, the favor that can be, do you mind or would you mind? Usually it's simply with can and could, right? If we're going to transmit information. So if it's affirmative information, you know, we can transmit it using it just by can you or could you tell, and then the person that is going to receive the message or the information. In this case, for example, I can say, hey, Santi, can you tell, what is the name of your sister, brother?
Nicole.
Nicole. So let's say, can you tell Nicole? Yes. And then I'm going to introduce the information that I want to tell, that or two, depending if it's information yeah, like gossip or something, or if it's a request, yeah. If it's information, that and then the information. Can you tell Nicole that the class is tomorrow at 7, for example? Or if it's a request, can you tell Nicole to arrive early to the class? Can you tell Nicole to do the homework or something like that? Ready? Take into account that this request is not for Santi, it's indirect. It's actually for Nicole, but I need Santiago to do me the favor and repeat the information or transmit the request to Nicole. Ready? So it's going to be a little bit different. Yes, it's not directed to the person, but it includes another third subject. Ready? And here it's also possible that the person can transmit questions. No, when I want to know information about the other person, then it's necessary to transmit questions. It's similar, but in that case, not with the verb tell, but with the verb ask, because it's interrogative questions. No, so that's why here it's going to change the verb, right? The beginning is basically the same. I'm using can or could you, and then ask. Let's say, hey, Santi, brother, can you ask? Again, it's necessary to include this the last person who's going to receive the information. In this case, Nicole, right? So can you ask Nicole? And then we have two different kinds of questions, sometimes with WH or sometimes with yes or no. Yeah. In both cases, it's going to be super simple. I have to include all. Sorry, I misplaced this part. It was the other way, sorry. It was yes or no first and WH here. So if it's a yes or no question, I'm going to include the question, the expression if. Yes, like could you please ask Nicole if, and then the real question. Or if it's a WH with the same WH, which, and then the real information. The difference here is that, well, I have a question. For example, which dance club well, let's say she, because it's Nicole, she preferred, right? That's the question, yes? But when I put it into this kind of structure, when I transmit it to the other person, the question it's going to transform into an affirmative statement because it's inside another question. So it's can you ask Nicole, and then the information, as you can notice here, is going to transmit into a affirmative statement. O sea, WH plus the subject plus the verb plus the complement. The same that is going to happen here. If plus the subject plus the verb plus the complement. Of course, the question mark. For example, no sé, let's say, can you ask Nicole if she understood the topic? Affirmative one, right? I mean, it's in general terms, it's a question, but the second part is going to be transformed into an affirmative statement. Can you ask Nicole where is the information? Something like that, right? So it's not going to have auxiliaries or it's not going to have interrogative structure, but it's going to be transformed into an affirmative structure, which actually makes it easier, you know? So imagine that you have, I don't know, let's say you have your boss, no? So once again, here is the boss, right? But here it's not a direct connection. So imagine that you have to call the secretary, yeah, you know, the secretary, who is going to transmit the information to the boss, right? Think in some information that probably you would have to ask or tell your boss. What could be some of those informations that we would have to tell to our bosses? So you're calling the secretary. Yeah, this is the secretary. So the secretary can transmit the message to the boss. What could be some of those messages?
Could you tell him that I will be late?
Muy bien, Santi. Excellent, very good. So the information is pretty important. So could you tell him that I'm gonna be, or I will be, as you prefer, I will be late. That's it. Very good. Excellent. Any other message for your boss?
Would you mind telling him that I am sick today?
Would you mind telling him, telling him that I'm sick today? So of course, I'm not going to work. I'm sick today. Very good. That's it. Any other?
Could you tell him, could you tell him, don't forget our 3 p.m. meeting?
Exactly. Could you tell him, in this case, when it's a negative request, it's not to. Ready? Could you tell him not to forget our 3 p.m. meeting? Excellent. That's it. Muy bien. Good. Ready? So in that case, pretty simple. You are transmitting information to another person, right? What about if it's a different person? Like, for example, wait a second. Like, I think it's here. This one. Well, you're calling home. Yeah. You need to talk to your mom, but your mom is not there. So you need to talk to your father, right? So this is you. You're calling your father so your father can repeat the information to your mother. Yeah. What kind of information would you transmit to your mom through your father?
Can you tell my mom that I'm busy at work?
Excellent, Sarah. Muy bien, very good. So can you tell mom, right? Can you tell mom that I'm busy at work? Exactly. That's it. Muy bien, very good. I have a message for my mom, but I don't know how to transmit it. The message is, where are the keys of my, I don't know, of my bike? It's a question. I need to ask this to my mom, but my mom is not home, so I need my father to ask her that. How can you send that message to my father so he can repeat it? The question is, where are the keys of my bike?
I was wondering if you could ask my mom where my keys are.
Excellent, my dear. So I was wondering if you could ask her or my mom, como quieran, ask her or ask my mom, where, saying WH, right? And affirmative statement. So where my keys or the keys of my bike are. Very good. That's great, right? I have another question for her. This one is the final one, I promise. The question is, does she make a lunch every day? Is that question. I need to ask her that. Does she make lunch every day? How can I transmit that information?
Can you ask my mom if she makes lunch every day?
Super simple, Majo. Very good, excellent. So can you ask my mom or ask her if, because it's a yes or no question, right? So can you ask her if she makes lunch every day? That's it. Very good. Ready? So, well, guys, in these two kinds of questions, difficulties, is it clear? Not so much. What do you think?
It's
Teacher, I
clear.
have a question. No, I have a question.
Dime, tranquila.
In all the sentences, you have to use the present, past, or future if you need it, or for can you tell is in present and I could use in past? No, it's not a.
You can, well, in the direct favors, normally we use the simple present. In the direct request, like, can you, would you mind, etc. Ready? Normally we use the simple present. But in these messages, the message can be in any statement. Ready? For example, here, all of these are in present. But for example, I can make an example in past. I'm going to make an example in past. Like, for example, the question would be, did she work yesterday? The question for my mom, right? So the statement might be the same, but with the final information in past. For example, can you ask her if, as I transform into the affirmative statement, the verb is going to pass to be in past, right? So can you ask her if she worked yesterday? So I can use it in any tense, present, past, future, doesn't matter. Normally it's in present, of course, but I can apply this kind of structure to any different tense. Okay?
Thank
Only
you, teacher.
at the end of the part, only at the end of the question. Okay? Listo, Sara, no problem. Any other question, any other difficulty, maybe? Tranquilos, look easily. Take a look. How do you feel?
Teacher, what does it mean? Whether?
Whether or not is exactly the same as if. No, when I say whether or not, is si sí or si no. It means whether. I forget how do you spell it. Whether, yes. I don't know if
Yes,
it's
that
this is
one.
the yes, exactly. Good. So
Is
using
whether or whether? How do you
It's-
pronounce it?
whether, when actually whether, oh no, it's whether, yes. Because whether is
Because
more
sounds like
related
clima.
to yeah, that's true. Actually, they are homophones, you know, but usually this one it's accompanied with whether or not. Like whether or not.
Mm,
The other one is more like weather, you know, like the climate. It's more with are. But it's spelled it's very similar in the spelling, no? Because whether it's this one is the spelling of the other one, right? This one is the spelling of this one, but the pronunciation is very similar. This one sounds a little bit more like
okay.
D, this one more like R, but actually it can be confusing sometimes. No, this one is usually accompanied with whether she likes to travel or not. It has another possibility that it's including that at the end of the sentence. Right?
Okay. But is this the same meaning as if?
Ah, yeah, it's exactly the same meaning as if. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the meaning.
Okay.
Ready? Bueno, my dear people, excellent, excellent. So in this case, what we saw, it was different ways to ask for favors, no? Like whether a direct or indirect, yes? Sometimes asking directly to the person, sometimes asking one person to repeat the favor to another person, ready? This was, of course, belonging to the first activity of the week number 2, which is, could you do me a favor? I think it's the name of the activity, no? So you already did it. I think that you already did it in your platform, so that's belonging to that part of the activity. Now, in the second activity, it's called What a Story. Ready? I'm going to ask you to help me to read one story that I have here, and so let's try to analyze it. Majo, could you please do me a favor? Read from here until the first period.
Okay. Last week, I was working in the university, and around 6 p.m. at the end of the class, I found a cell phone in the back of the classroom. After the class, I was trying to find the owner for about everything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. find the owner for about 1 hour when suddenly I saw one of his friends. The girl told me that her friend had gone home 30 minutes before around 6 and 15 p.m.
Remember that with the numbers, there is no like kind of standard pronunciation. You can say 30, you can say 30, you can say, well, there are different ways to pronounce it. The most common one is 30, but it's not mandatory to pronounce it like that. If you want to pronounce it 30,
Okay.
it's right. It's all right because it's the same number, might be British, might be American. It depends on your accent, okay? So no problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Majo. Very good. So in that case, we have a story which is telling about a situation that occurred last week. I'm starting with the simple past, of course. The past expression, no, last week. And then the first part that I introduced, it's the general context. What was I doing? I was working in the university. That was the whole context of the situation, right? From 3 p.m. until 9 p.m., I was working in the university. And around 6 p.m., at the end of the class, I found a cell phone in the back of the classroom. That's it, right? So at 6 p.m., I found a cell phone. After the class, I was trying to find the owner. Owner, what is the meaning of owner? Owner?
Dueño.
Propietario.
Exactly. So the owner of the cell phone, right? I was trying to find the owner of the cell phone for about 1 hour. So I was doing this action for a long time, for about 1 hour. It's a long action, right? When suddenly, vocabulario, suddenly, what's the meaning of that?
Repentinamente.
De repente, repentinamente. Muy bien, very good. I saw one of his friends, o sea, the friends of the owner, no? And then I said, okay, I started to ask to the girl, yes? But the girl told me in this moment, like around 7, more or less like 7 p.m., yes? She told me that her friend, oh my God, had gone home 30 minutes before, around 6:15. Had gone. I have to use it to go back in the story, right? So because I was like at 7 p.m., but I had in the story that I am telling, I need to go back. I need to like, yeah, like how do you say that? Retract in the story. Yes. Go to a previous action in the same story. Anybody knows what is the meaning of had gone? Had gone?
Se había
fue.
ido.
¿Se fue o se había ido? ¿Quién me ayuda?
Se habría ido.
¿Te habría ido? Oh my God, ahora tenemos una tercera. Wait. What do you think? ¿Se habría, se había, se fue?
Se había ido, se fue, sería
había ido.
left. No,
Se había ido.
se había
Muy
ido
bien,
y
se
se fue
había
left.
ido. Very good. Entonces, in this case, we have 3 different kinds of tenses. The first one that we have in here is past continuous. I was working. I was trying. Yeah, past continuous. Also, we have simple past. I found, I saw, she told me, right? And also we have the past perfect. Past perfect, which is had plus the verb in past participle. Entonces, let's see how can we introduce the 3 of them, the 3 tenses, in order to tell a story. Ready? Let's start by talking about the difference between past continuous and simple past. Past continuous and simple past. The first difference here is that the past continuous is was or were. I mean, it's verb to be in past, was or were, plus the verb in ing. I was working, I was traveling, I was doing, I was whatever. First is a long action. Always is a long action. And it can have 2 different uses. The first one is for talking about the general context. What was going on? I was working, I was living in another house. I was celebrating, or I was partying with my friends. I was like, I don't know, going around the museum. No sé, what is the general context of the story that I am going to tell? Or the other option is to use it for a long action which was interrupted for another action. For example, I was working when my father arrived. I was dancing when the party ended. I was swimming when I, no sé, I felt a pain, something like that. So it's always a long action, but that long action can be used to describe the general context of the situation, or can be used to describe a long action which was interrupted. While the simple past, did or ed, or depending the verb, yes, it's going to be used for talking about a specific action, especially when we talk about the next action. What do I mean when I say the next action? What happened after? No? So, for example, I'm saying, I was sleeping. That was the general context. I was sleeping, and what happened after? My mother called me. So the next action, it's gonna be the interruption of this long action, right? So I was sleeping when my mother called. I was swimming when I felt a pain. I was exercising when I felt wrist, no, like something like that. I was playing soccer when I twisted my ankle. So that action in simple past is going to be the specific action, which is the interruption of the long action, and also is going to help me to talk about the next activity. Now, for example, I was sleeping when my mother called and told me, como es la acción siguiente, I'm going to use simple past, and told me that I had to study, no sé qué, so next action, right? Every time that in a story I want to talk about the next action, what happened after, then I'm going to use the simple past. Ready? Notice that in this case, when I'm using when I'm talking about the story, I'm using a lot of connectors, especially of time. When and why. What is the meaning of while?
Mientras.
Mientras,
And when?
cuando,
Cuando.
That was too easy, right? So when and while, for example, here. Yes. Teacher, can I have two actions in past continuous? Yes, I can have any configuration that I prefer. Many actions in simple past, for example, or different actions in past continuous, especially when they are simultaneous. For example, while I was working, yes, comma, my son was studying. Two long actions that happen simultaneously at the same time, no? So, sorry, normally we have past continuous with simple past, but in some determined cases, we're gonna have the possibility to include two actions in past continuous. Ready? Okay. Guys, any questions about past continuous and simple past?
No.
Actually, it's pretty simple, no? So it's just using actions, long actions in the past. Ready? Bueno, then we have past continuous, simple past, and we have another one, which is the past perfect. The past perfect, let me erase this part. It's going to be used as the opposite of the simple past. When I talk about the past perfect, it's an action which is prior, it means previous to another action in the past. It's like the past of the past, right? It's confirmed by using had, as I told you, had, and the verb in past participle. As we said, it's for the auxiliary había, and then the verb in past participle, right? Simply, it's going to be used for going back to a previous action in the past. Remember that the simple past is going to be the next action, so it's actually completely opposite to the past perfect. In this case, it's the next action. The past perfect is going to be the previous action if I need to go back, right? For example, my mother had called, yeah, when I finally woke up. What happened first? My mother called or I woke up? What do you think?
My mother called.
Of course, my mother called first, right? That's why it's the action that I have in past perfect. Yes, I can say I finally woke up when my mother had, oh, yes, because my mother had called. Anyway, I can mention the action, this action first, but it doesn't matter that happened first. No, I can mention it first, but anyway, the action that has past perfect is going to be the action that happened in the first place, right? In this case, I can have two different possibilities for talking about past perfect. First, because I want to describe an action that finished before another action, like this one. My mother had called me when I finally woke up. They don't have any connection. It's just one action happened, finished, then the other action started, independent. Or if I use a connector, like for example, because it's going to mean that the second action happened as a consequence of the first one. I finally woke up because my mother had called. Okay, so the actions are related, in which the action that I have in past perfect had and the verb in past participle is the cause of the action in simple past, right? For example, I studied for the exam and then ergo I approved. Yeah, of course, first I studied, then I approved. So I can say that I approved because what?
Because I have studied.
Of course, that was the reason, right? So I approved because I had studied, right? Since I did this action first, it's gonna be in past perfect. More or less, how do you feel? Kind of? What do you think? A little bit strange, no? A little bit confusing. A ver, wait a second. Bueno, guys, so in this case, the idea is that I want to use the three tenses, past perfect, simple past, and past continuous, in order to tell a story, ready? In order to complete a story. In a story, usually I start talking about the general context, and then I start talking about the specific situations. Normally, I go forward, but from time to time, I need to go backwards, like in the example that we read. Yeah, so here I started talking about the general context. Yes, I was working in the university. Then I start talking about the specific situations. Around 6 p.m., I found a cell phone in the end of the classroom. Here I include a long action. So if it's a long action, I need to use it with past continuous because this action was interrupted, no? So I was looking for I was trying to find the owner, yes, when suddenly I saw, so the other girl interrupted the first action, yes? And the next action, simple past, ¿cierto? If I go forward, if I go to the front, simple past. And she told me, yes, that her friend, and then when she told me that, she went back in the story. So she told me that her friend had gone 30 minutes before as she left to the back to the past in the past. So we use the past perfect that she had gone, right? So that is the idea. The idea is that we can create stories in which we can use the three different tenses: simple past, the past continuous, and the past perfect. Okay, ready? How do you feel about the three tenses in context? Yeah, easy to use. Guys, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. So, questions about it? No? Is it clear? Is it confusing?
No.
All right.
It's
Clear,
okay,
teacher.
but we need to practice.
We need to practice. That's what we're going to do. So guys, in this case, we're going to have a story which is incomplete. Here, you're going to find the verbs that you need to complete. Ready? So the story, again, has different situations. I'm going to read it once. While I pan back home, I blank in the record station, and I blank for the bus. Long action, no? So I, TTT, the general context, and I in the record station, and long action for the bus. Suddenly, I blank a man on my back. Yeah, like in my back part. He, like blank, very suspicious. So I, far from him, right? Unfortunately, when I blank to my house, yes, at the end, when I blank to my house, I, that he, my laptop out of my backpack. I went back to the moment in the record station, no? Guys, take 2 minutes to complete this story with the verbs that you have down there. We have move, we have be, we have take, we have realize, we have arrive, we have wait, go, and see. Ready? So take 2 minutes, complete the story. Tell me if you have any problems.
Me.
Ready? Okay, good, excellent. That's great. Go ahead, Mao.
Once while I was going back home, I was in the Ricaurte station
Wonderful.
and I waited for the bus.
Wait. As wait, it's a long action. Wait is the verb, but that is a long
And
action.
I were waiting. I were waiting. Oh my God. I was.
I
What a mistake. Oh my goodness.
don't
That
worry.
was terrible. I was waiting for the bus. Suddenly, I saw a man on my back.
Good.
He was
You can repeat
very
it. Yes, no problem.
suspicious.
Yes.
So I moved far from him.
Exactly. Very good.
Unfortunately, how can I pronounce it?
Yeah, a little bit difficult, no? So
Unfortunately.
in that
Okay,
case, we're going to eliminate this A. Ready? It's on for
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Okay. When I arrived to my home, to my house,
Yeah.
I realized that he had wait a second. He he had taken my laptop out of my backpack.
That's it. Anybody has any different versions, or it's essentially the same?
Essentially the same.
Listo, very good, excellent. Well, that's the idea. So basically, it was no, entirely it was correct, right? So in that case, she used all greatly. So long action, general context, past continuous, long action, past continuous. In the rest, as it's the next action, simple past, simple past, simple past, simple past, until I arrive to the last moment when the person goes back in the story and the person uses past perfect. That's it. Listo? We have another example over here. Wait a second. Let me just erase over here. Over here. It's a little bit longer, but actually it's pretty easy. We're going to do it together. Ready? So like I'm gonna give you like 1 minute. I'm gonna read a little bit of the story, and I would like you to try to do it with me at the same time. Ready? So a few years ago, while I blank a training course in Borneo, I blank with some colleagues to an island animal sanctuary with lots of wild monkeys, period. We blank at a lunchtime and I blank to explore the jungle. I, along a path, like, like a path, when I blank a large monkey sitting on a branch in front of me. I blank because I blank across wild monkeys before, and I blank what to do. Ready? Let's stop right there. I would like you to try to do it simultaneously with me. A ver, let's see. Can you see it, or should I make it? Well, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, no? So you can read it easier.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Got it. Okay, so a few years ago, while the verb is in parentheses, right?
Was doing.
Few years ago, while I was doing a training course in Borneo, all it's a general context, so past continuous, I
Went.
went with some colleagues to an island animal sanctuary with lots of wild monkeys. We
Right.
Arrived.
good, excellent. Next action, simple past. At lunchtime, and I
Decided.
decided, very good. Decided to explore the jungle. I
Was walking.
working. Muy bien, it's a long action, so in that case, it's a progress. So I was walking along a path when I
So,
next action interrupted. So I saw a large monkey sitting on a branch in front of me. I
Stopped.
stopped. Very good, excellent pronunciation. I stopped because I
hadn't come.
very good, as it is never in the past. I'm talking about all my past life. I'm gonna use the past perfect because I had never come. I had never come across wild monkeys before, and I
Didn't know.
didn't know what to do. Perfect, that's it. Well, the rest is basically the same. So suddenly the monkey,
Jumped.
of course, jumped down and
Came.
muy bien, came towards me very aggressively.
Turned.
I turned and
Wrong.
exactly, I turned and ran. As you can see,
Right.
simple past, simple past, simple past, because it's the next activity. So simple past, simple past, simple past. Ready? When my colleagues,
look at.
yeah, exactly, looked up, in that moment, what was happening?
I was
I-
raised. Nada.
I was racing because when they look at me, I was in the process of racing towards the water. And the monkey, simultaneous action.
Was chasing.
Exactly. Two actions long that were happening at the same time. So, and the monkey was chasing me. Very good. I finally
Reached.
yeah, I finally reached the safety of the sea and
Drove.
easy. So I finally reached the safety of the sea and drove in. Right? Good. Excellent. When I
Was looking.
Was looking.
okay, very good. My God, sorry. I don't know if it's when I was looking or when I looked around. Actually, it could be both because it's, yeah, you know, like a very fast place, like a very fast look, or like calmly looking around, no? So in that case, could be both. When I was looking or when I look, I'm gonna use both, okay? When I looked around, I
Was
weird. I was pleased to see that the animal
disappeared.
disappeared. Sorry. Disappear.
Oh, it could be had disappeared, maybe. No?
Yeah, good also. Actually, yes, because it disappeared before I looked, no? So that the
Mhm.
animal had disappeared. Very good. But my colleagues, when I am gonna use laugh, the verb is laugh uncontrollably. So it was in the process of
We can see the last one.
yeah, wait,
Can you
I'm
please?
just gonna scroll down a little bit. Changos,
Mhm.
wait, that's it.
Yes, thank you.
So my colleagues, tin tin tin, laugh uncontrollably. What do you think?
The
Good.
same. Love.
The same, I mean, love?
Yeah. No.
You think so?
No,
No, no.
loud.
Could be loved, but laughing, it's a process, no? Because you laugh for two
Was
meanings.
laughing.
Exactly. But as it's plural, ahora sí, we're laughing, right?
Uh,
Because it's plural, right?
yes.
Excellent. So, in general terms, excellent. You have a completely understanding of the topic. Very good. You did it simultaneously, which is pretty difficult. So congratulations on that. Guys, I want to excuse myself because this class is super full of topics. I'm so sorry. I didn't give you much opportunity to practice. I promise that the next classes won't be like that. So, but this class, it's just one class in the week. So that's why it's so crowded with topics. So I'm sorry. But the important thing is that everything was clear. All the requests, the direct requests, the indirect requests were clear. And the storytelling, the past perfect, the past continuous, and the simple past, right? As I told you, I moved a little bit 9-10. I'm so sorry. But that's it. We're going to finish for today, and that's it. See you the next week in our week number 3. In the week number 3, we have 2 classes, so we're going to be participating much more. That's it, guys. Thank you for being here and for your attention. Okay.
Thank you,
Teacher, I have
teacher.
a
Okay, thank
question.
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you, teacher.
night. Go to
Teacher,
rest.
Bye.
I have a question
Tell me.
about the checkpoint of this week.
Ay, the checkpoint. Bueno, in the checkpoint of this week, we're going to have 2 activities. Ready? The first one, it's an audio in which you are like in an interview, in a job interview. Ready? The idea of that is that you can compare your job. Well, the job is flight attendancy. Ready? So you have to compare that job with other jobs. So expressing why you want to be a flight attendant and talking about your skills to be a flight attendant. I am good at attending people. I have a talent for speaking other languages. I am interested in traveling around the world. So that's why I want to be a flight attendant. And also comparing the job, no? So being a flight attendant is better paid than being a waiter. Being a flight attendant, it's more exciting than okay. So making comparisons with the job. And the other part of the story of the exercise, the second part of the exercise, is a text message, ready? In which you describe, in this case, a story about how you broke down a laptop that a friend lent you. So your friend lent you the laptop of her father, and accidentally you spill some coffee on the laptop. So you have to express your apologies and explain what really happened on the accident. So what were you doing? How did it happen? How did you spill the coffee on the laptop? How was the accident? And all of that. Ready? So those are the two exercises, the two parts of the checkpoint of the week number 2. Okay, Santi?
Okay, and these files were sent.
In the same platform, it is click. I mean, you enter to the exercise, and then in the left upper part, it says checkpoint. No, when you click to the arrow back, it's going to say enviar actividades y enviar ejercicio y terminar. Terminar ejercicio y enviar para calificar, creo que es lo que dice. Y hay otra opción que dice guardar para seguir trabajando después, o guardar para terminar luego, algo así. Después, cuando ya lo termines, le das en terminar ejercicio y enviar, y me llega a mí en la misma plataforma. ¿Listo? No tienes que salirte de ninguna parte, ahí mismo te da el espacio para escribir, te da el espacio para grabar la voz y todo.
Pues yo en este momento estoy en la sección y me aparece en blanco. Y selección no iniciada y el resto en blanco.
Listo, y ya terminaste las actividades anteriores, la de Guara,
No, no
la de
llego.
Could you do me a favor y What Story, ¿ya las terminaste?
Any.
Yes? No?
No, teacher. No.
¿No? Bueno, recuerden que el checkpoint es como una actividad normal, o sea que tengo que terminar las anteriores para poder entrar. Entonces, solo cuando terminen la primero haces la de Could you do me a favor? De ahí haces la de What a Story y luego sí puedes terminar el checkpoint.
Okay, teacher, clear. Thank you.
That's it. Bueno, my dear people, so thank you. Thanks again for the attention. See you the next week, and don't forget to program the class. Okay?
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good
Bye-bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye-bye.